The king's health has been declining day by day, and he is believed to have secretly made a decision that has shaken the entire royal family, transferring control of Buckingham Palace to Prince William and Princess Catherine. This is not simply a temporary arrangement to prepare for the future, but rather a calculated move, signaling the greatest shift in power within the monarchy since Charles officially took the throne. Yet, what seemed like a logical step has instead ignited a furious outburst from Queen Camilla. Camilla, who has endured decades of public doubt and criticism, now finds herself watching her influence slowly diminish within the very palace she believed she had secured her place in. To her, Charles's decision feels like a silent betrayal, threatening the authority she has fought so hard to obtain. What makes it even more bitter is that control has not been handed to her, the partner standing beside the king, but instead to William and Catherine, the couple widely seen as the true future of the monarchy, enjoying near universal admiration from the public. This shocking development has sparked countless questions. Could it be that Charles has already recognized Camilla's limitations in upholding the royal family's image? Is this his way of quietly safeguarding the throne? By placing trust in William and Catherine, figures far more popular and beloved, to steer the monarchy through turbulent waters? And perhaps the most pressing question of all, how will Camilla react when she realizes that her power is being drained away, little by little, every single day? King Charles III supposedly gave the Prince and Princess of Wales the symbolic and operational keys to Buckingham Palace in a covert act that shocked the British monarchy. According to individuals with first-hand knowledge, the transfer, which was a significant historical event, did not occur with royal grandeur. It was a private event without cameras or palace statements. What happens when the world's best-guarded stronghold, the heart of the British crown, is passed in a quiet chamber? Buckingham Palace's golden gates have protected monarchs' private lives and projected an image of unwavering might to the world for generations. The keys to Buckingham mean control over the institution. This is why stories of what happened behind its sacred walls have shocked courtiers and royal watchers. This was no balcony speech or national address. King Charles instead gave Prince William and Princess Catherine control of the monarchy's central nervous system, a gesture of deeper value than any public ceremony. Even the king's closest allies were shaken by the unexpected and secretive decision. A patient ruler who spent decades in the wings, Charles III was never impulsive. This secretive deed shows a sense of urgency, as one insider described it, that time itself was running out. For others, it is a disturbing indicator that the king's grasp on power may be unraveling faster than expected. Long the subject of covert suspicion, his health now seems to influence every move he makes. Few saw what happened that night in the palace: some trusted aides, a few confidants, and the Prince and Princess of Wales. According to one version, their features conveyed the great weight of what was in store for future generations. The magnificent centuries-old keys were not handed over easily by King Charles. These were reminders of centuries of devotion, sacrifice, and continuous reign, not just metal. They symbolize leadership, Queen Elizabeth II's legacy, and the unspoken fact that William and Catherine now carry the monarchy's survival. The moment's stillness and one significant figure's absence were equally profound. Queen Camilla, who shares Charles's throne, was apparently excluded from a major decision. Why this omission disclosed more than the deed to many palace residents? It represented discord and distrust. Camilla's absence lingered over the chamber like an unspoken reproach to courtiers who observed from the perimeter, as if the king was quietly recognizing that she could not be crucial to the future he was seeking to establish. Charles seemed fragile, struggling with kingship and his family's history. According to witnesses, his voice was low, yet authoritative, and his hands shook. Not a weak monarch abdicated. A father, husband, and Elizabeth II's son tried to save something valuable before it was lost forever. The key transfer was more than a handover. It was a confession, warning, an indication that the monarchy is on a precipice, and only William and Catherine can stabilize it, according to the king. Whispers started as Charles closed the private room doors, leaving the future king and queen to face their new situation. What threats did the king perceive in the shadows to compel this secret reckoning? Why was Catherine, Princess of Wales, central? The king's gambit, mortality's shadows reign, fear of fading heritage, treachery, and forgetfulness underpins every crown. King Charles gave over the palace keys as a desperate strategic bet to save the monarchy from time, which he could not fight. He looked to be losing his lifelong dream of the throne. His every move as king was questionable. Health, a delicate issue spoken only in whispers, and age have kept his rule under scrutiny by a restless population and a ravenous press. According to his friends, what was supposed to be the climax of a lifetime of waiting has become a daily reminder that fate moves quickly. Charles allegedly told his closest aides what the public was suspecting. He doubted he would live long enough to witness William's smooth, steady transition to kingship and see him as well equipped as his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, had been. His quiet admissions in his study showed a man no longer fighting ambition, but his own mortality. He worried that his rule would be recognized as a transitory transition rather than a time of genuine consolidation. Instead of wearing the crown, it was about keeping it up. His friendship with Prince William dominated this quiet conflict. Behind palace gates, father and son exchanges have become more serious. Charles begged his son like a parent who knows history may shatter even the strongest shoulders in their intimate conversations. Decades of neglect, criticism, and uncertainty were his challenges. The effort to become a legitimate and recognized monarch had damaged him, and he worried his reign would be remembered for how quickly it ended rather than what it accomplished. William saw more than a son, an opportunity to save the monarchy beyond his own declining years. Thus, handing over the palace keys became more than a ceremony. Charles did it to preserve the monarchy and shape its destiny. He thought it was better to transmit the torch of operational control deliberately, to show continuity and strength, than to let the public or family rivals take it when he was too weak to resist. The difficult conclusion included a harsh realistic reality. Charles wants to be remembered as the king who preserved the monarchy rather than as the one who let it fall. William could not ignore the message in that handover. This was no ordinary gift or trust gesture, an unspoken but unmistakable warning. Protect the monarchy at all costs. Do not be like me and falter. Don't allow public opinion or rivalry to determine the crown's destiny. The monarchy's existence was no longer uncertain under William. It was an urgent obligation he couldn't reject. The unspoken coronation, Catherine's rise to power. Another fact emerged as the royal corridors digested the king's choice. Catherine, Princess of Wales, was informally crowned as the queen the people had elected, not only receiving the keys with her husband. That event was important beyond procedure because it proved one woman's journey from outsider to sovereign. Cynics called Catherine Weighty Katie, a commoner too commonplace to thrive in the Windsor dynasty. She survived and thrived by tenacity, quiet courage, and unwavering loyalty to her family and the institution. Her path was scrutinized from the start. Her every move, phrase, and wardrobe with Prince William was scrutinized by a world waiting for her to fall. The royal family scandals taxed her tolerance, and tabloid storms threatened to drown her. But Catherine never faltered. She was the solace amid the pandemonium. Despite the consequences of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's departure and Prince Andrew's humiliation, the monarchy appeared to find its foundation in her capacity to exude dignity when others stumbled. Not just her elegance characterized her throughout time. She was trusted by the British populace. Catherine was the most respected, revered, and loved senior person in the royal household. According to polls, she was seen as a princess and a potential queen who combined tradition and modernity. Every appearance with her children, every silent service, and every gesture of unflinching commitment to the crown cemented that link. The people saw Catherine as the crown's greatest hope, not just William's bride. Behind closed doors, King Charles realized what the public knew. He unwillingly accepted that Catherine's capacity to inspire and connect was more important than his rule for the monarchy's survival. William needed her as a strategic asset, not just a supporter. He did more than give her Buckingham Palace keys by giving her and William the keys. She had to preserve an institution that had survived centuries of turbulence. One silent gesture had the force of a coronation. As momentous as it was, the transfer had its downsides. That event raised a serious question. Did Catherine's rise eclipse Queen Camilla? The Queen Consort's absence sparked wild conjecture. Was Charles purposefully ignoring his wife to promote the woman he felt the people already approved of as queen? Perhaps political pragmatism caused deeper scars than any headline could convey. Catherine was on the brink of history. She was neither anointed nor sat on a throne, but the symbolism was clear. The Buckingham Palace keys she kept symbolized her fate. The courtiers and aides who observed it knew the truth. Catherine was done waiting for a crown. She had already been given one in every manner. The Queen Consort's fury, a throne betrayal. Catherine took her future keys as Queen Camilla sat silent. In that quiet ceremony, her authority appeared to melt away before her eyes despite her name on the crown and title. Her absence shouted louder than any explosion. Camilla's humiliation was personal and historic. She battled her way to the throne after decades of public derision, bearing the wounds of being the other woman, braving betrayal rumors, and ultimately gaining the crown she believed was forever out of reach. In the aftermath of her victory, she was a spectator barred from the act that determined the monarchy's destiny. Sources close to her said the shock was devastating. She struggled for years to be viewed as queen, not mistress or scandal. Every public appearance, humanitarian act, and carefully staged event was meant to prove her legitimacy to a suspicious audience. Charles had taken more than her dignity with one single transfer. He verified her deepest fear that in the vast story of the Windsor dynasty, she was never the future, but a placeholder until Catherine was ready. She allegedly raged in her own rooms. Unconfirmed reports from domestic personnel included slammed doors, angry words, and wrath. Not just rage, but deep betrayal. She endured years of criticism, public hate, and heartbreaking parallels to Princess Diana alongside Charles. She thought, perhaps foolishly, that her crown would protect her from dismissal. She felt like an intruder in her own kingdom, her position disappearing before her eyes. Camilla's adherents rallied, muttering their indignation as Catherine rose silently. They saw the king's choice as a deliberate humiliation, a message to the world that Catherine was the genuine defender of the crown and Camilla was only a chapter. They saw strategy, not symbolism. Charles boosted his daughter-in-law while weakening his wife. Camilla was marginalized, whether by obligation, despair, or insight. This conduct exacerbated Charles's conflict between his wife and the monarchy. The man who had broken tradition and endangered the crown to marry her now silently abandoned her, prioritizing the institution's survival above her place within it. According to reports, their tension is high, a reminder that in the ruthless realm of royalty, love frequently yields to legacy. For Camilla, this was a personal and political setback. Yet quiet has never been her last word. Camilla, often underestimated, refuses to fade softly. Under her wounded pride, a deep drive burned to restore what she felt was hers. She weighed alliances, considered how to reestablish her influence, and sought methods to remind the palace and the public that she is still queen. According to friends, for her, the game continued, just reached its most perilous stage, an ignored royal rebellion. Though the royal gates were sealed that night, hatred crept through its old walls. If Queen Camilla was enraged, those who had been promised or hoped for power were distraught when William and Catherine took it all. Prince Andrew, Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie, and, across the ocean, Prince Harry saw the solemn ceremony as a declaration of exile, a last cruel reminder that their names no longer mattered in the monarchy's destiny. The disgrace hit Prince Andrew, Duke of York, hardest. He was stripped of his titles, banished from public life, and pushed to the periphery. So seeing his nephew and wife take power seemed like the last nail in his royal coffin. He privately complained that the king had abandoned his brotherhood for a contemporary monarchy that had no place for him. Andrew saw it as survival, not simply notoriety. After every channel of influence closed, his wrath changed to frigid hatred. His whisper sharpened, and his drive to remind the family that he still lived became unavoidable. Andrew had company. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, loyal but neglected family members, were also upset by the events. To them, the monarchy was becoming a tight circle where their views and allegiance were ignored. They were assured by their father in whispers that their lineage mattered and that their position was safe. The truth was revealed before them. The crown had chosen its destiny without them. After closing the door, their sadness turned into irritation, and their words rose with contempt. By the time the news reached Montecito, California, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had to admit what they had dreaded for years. The private ceremony proved they were permanently rejected. Their children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, felt excluded from the monarchy before they could join. According to sources, the Duchess of Sussex was profoundly wounded and felt excluded again. Prince Harry, who felt betrayed by his father, struggled to accept Catherine's promotion above his own. They saw the ceremony as a message. You are no longer part of us. Undisputed fracture. King Charles had carved a line in the sand, not only giving keys. On one side were William and Catherine, the monarchy's chosen successors. On the other side were the forgotten, resentful, and disillusioned royals whose blood was secondary. The treachery reinforced the generational gap and exacerbated long-simmering tensions. The danger became evident with every whisper and harsh comment. Rebellion was feasible and inevitable. Already whispers spread. Who released the ceremonial info? Who fed the media secret handovers and important stories? The leak was widely suspected to have originated from exiled royals with nothing to lose, seeking to damage the institution that had injured them. Legacy Guardian. Princess Anne's unwavering stand. One royal may connect Charles's declining rule in William's ascending reign. Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, the unshakable custodian of tradition. She has been the quiet, steely power behind the crown, shouldering duty without complaint with the tenacity of her mother and the practicality of someone who never wavered in her commitment. Anne survived controversy when others failed. As rumors of treason and discord threatened the monarchy, Anne moved forward to pass on Elizabeth II's legacy. Anne was dedicated out of conviction, not ambition. She always considered herself as the guardian of her mother's work, a living reminder that service comes first. She saw Queen Elizabeth II as a mother in stability. Anne was so faithful to that memory that she secretly pledged to guarantee that whoever took the crown next would do so with the same elegance, responsibility, and character. She thought only Catherine had Elizabeth's unique perseverance and humility. According to her friends, the Princess Royal regularly reflects on her last chats with Queen Elizabeth. The late Queen admired Catherine's capacity to remain dignified in storms that would have shattered others in such personal conversations. Elizabeth suggested, as only a mother could, that Catherine's fate was more than her title, and that the kingdom may depend on her. Anne took these comments as instructions, a modest handing of the torch. When the secret ceremony happened, Anne's attendance was no accident. She wasn't just a witness, but a protector, ensuring that the power transfer wasn't misunderstood as a whim or weakness. Her presence validated the deed for doubters. If Anne supported William and Catherine, Elizabeth's legacy did too. Anne assured courtier supporters and competitors that this was a continuance of tradition. Anne's subtle approbation couldn't escape Queen Camilla. Nothing was spoken, but Catherine's ascendancy was fate, not politics. Anne reminded everyone that the monarchy was larger than pride, envy, and any one individual by standing with her brother and nephew. Her covert disobedience warned Camilla that resistance would be fruitless when Catherine embodied Elizabeth's authority. Also, her relationship with William. After the transfer, Anne allegedly made him a bold and wise pledge. She promised that the monarchy would survive his rule as long as she lived. Her comments were a lifeline for William, who was carrying this additional responsibility, reminding him that Anne would always represent his grandmother and protect him. The world watches. Unveiled secret. Royal secrets seldom remain buried. From royal gates, murmurs spread days after the intimate event, and the public wanted answers. A discreet transfer of trust and responsibility had become a media maelstrom that challenged the monarchy. The leak spread quickly, sparking conjecture, dividing the organization, and putting it into a defensive position. In an instant, the media went wild. Anonymous informants gave media rumors and truth. Newspapers reported a shadow handover, Charles preparing to step aside, and a palace in disarray. Broadcasters discussed the consequences. Did the king quietly abdicate or confess defeat due to his worsening health? Every stillness from Buckingham Palace was filled with global tales by the press. What was previously a covert preservation deed became a public test of royal stability. The palace resisted, but it increased suspicion. Official channels rejected any formal transfer of constitutional authority, but unidentified advisors said Charles was increasingly sharing tasks with his son and daughter-in-law. Contradictions reinforced the idea that something big had happened. Official statements fueled rumors. Camilla's camp exacerbated the pandemonium. Her friends, hurt by her absence, reportedly planted press counter-narratives. Whispers suggested that Catherine had maneuvered her way into power, that Charles was pressured, and that this was a coup from within. These stories painted Catherine as an ambitious figure grasping for power she was never meant to have. These stories, whether genuine or not, divided the public over her unexpected ascension. On social media, the storm became stronger. Queen Catherine was declared the genuine queen in everything but name in the contemporary face of royalty by supporters. However, some questioned Camilla's dismissal and why such a significant step was kept secret. Every post and remark lit up the digital battlefield like the actual one. As tension rose, voices darkened. Did this start an unofficial coronation? He's burdened. A king in waiting speaks. He silently bore the strain for years. Prince William allegedly fell down in private after receiving Buckingham Palace's keys, indicating the dreadful weight of his father's last bet. The heir, trained from boyhood for the crown, unexpectedly found himself on the brink of power. He lost his regal composure in private with Catherine and his closest friends. "Am I ready to lead?" he inquired. His voice weighed with uncertainty that stunned audiences. William said he was unprepared for the magnitude of what was coming, despite his preparedness. He described his father's infirmity and private chats that suggested Charles might retire sooner than planned. He confessed that inheriting the throne was always hypothetical. That concept became chillingly real when I held Buckingham Palace keys for the first time. History closed in, and failure gnawed at him. Catherine supported him at that time of weakness. She reminded him that their 2-decade cooperation will carry his rule, not one man. His anchor was her serenity. She assured him that the monarchy's power was the people's trust, which was already his. William was still plagued by his inner battle. He always wanted a simpler life, a chance to be a parent before he was king. He told his closest aide that he worried the crown would take from his children what it had taken from him, freedom from inspection. Despite his need, he made a commitment that cut through uncertainty. He pledged to defend the monarchy regardless of Tian, not for himself or Charles, but for George, Charlotte, and Louis. He promised to protect the throne so his offspring would inherit power and stability. That night, his audience realized he was strong in vulnerability, not breaking under pressure. His confession showed strength and compassion, which had made him the people's choice before fate. The final act, a nameless abdication. It was more than a ceremony, Simon. When King Charles gave the palace keys, it was goodbye. His last major act as king was a covert transfer to his son and daughter-in-law, who would now bear his throne. In that calm transaction, he abdicated in all but name, handing over the monarchy without speech. In the quiet chamber, he turned to Catherine, his eyes filled with emotion, and recognized her as the monarchy's genuine rescuer, who would save it when he could not. As he left the palace gates, gently closed, sounding like an age ending, the legislation echoed Queen Elizabeth II's ultimate wishes: continuity, sacrifice, and duty above all else. Despite the seriousness, a significant premonition existed. William and Catherine will rule modernly, emotionally, and turbulently. The monarchy has changed quietly, but its future is uncertain. Keys were given as a burden, not a gift. Instead of ending an era, it began its most perilous and unpredictable chapter. The decision to let William and Catherine take control of Buckingham Palace, even if only temporarily, clearly shows the direction the royal family is preparing to take. William and Catherine are not just symbols of a new generation. They are figures capable of preserving the monarchy's image in the eyes of the public. They represent modernity, approachability, and above all, public approval, something the crown desperately needs to maintain its strength in such turbulent times. With William and Catherine at the center, many believe the royal family could turn a new page, stronger and more hopeful than ever. For Camilla, however, this is undoubtedly a painful blow. After so many years of struggle to claim her place as queen, she now has to watch her influence fade away day by day. While she may try to maintain composure in public, deep down the bitterness and fear are impossible to ignore. Because if William and Catherine truly prove their superior ability, Camilla's role will only become more and more diminished, perhaps even pushed aside in the eyes of the people. This story is not simply about a transfer of power, but about the clash between old and new, between personal ambition and responsibility for an entire institution. And in the end, the question remains, will Camilla accept this reality? Or will she fight back to protect what she has sacrificed so much to achieve? If you are intrigued and want to keep uncovering the shocking secrets hidden behind the royal curtain, leave your thoughts in the comments, share your perspective, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of the dramatic developments to come.